Hi guys, this is Rosa Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a huge book haul. So grab your tea or coffee and let's get right to it. That's good coffee. So hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. Today I have quite the book haul for you. So I have a few books that I have been collecting and I am in much need to do this video so I can finally put the books away. They have just been sitting on a corner of my room. So the first book that I have here for you is one that you are not going to believe that I haven't read this series yet, and this is the Harry Potter book. So this is the first book, which is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So in my defense, I did not go to school here, number one. Number two, when I started reading books in English, I was past the age, I guess. I was reading mostly for college, and then after that I got really into like historical fiction books, so I wasn't much into fantasy. But now I really want to explore the Harry Potter world. I know my kids have read all the books and they absolutely loved it, and I just came back from Universal Studios, so I am so inspired with Harry Potter. So what I love about this book, it is so interactive, and you know I'm a crafter and I like details like that. So this is the edition by Mina Lima, and it has really cool features. So let me show you some of these. So I really want to collect all of these books now that I went through. It has a lot of three-dimensional pieces like this one. Oops, don't worry about it, get rid of that one too. So it has a lot of like different like pieces that like spin around, and it has like the castle that is three-dimensional. You can open doors, and it's just so much fun to explore. Like this one, the girls thought it was super scary. She actually like moves her eyes. Can you see that? I love it. So I think it's super cool. It's such a collectible edition. And of course, I really want to start reading the Harry Potter books. And so continuing with my middle grade, I have two books here that I recently picked up, and I picked this up for my girls at Barnes and Noble, but I think they're such a cute series to collect as well. So these are Pages and Co. And so the first one is the Book Wanderers, and just look at the cover, is really pretty. So on this book we are following Tilly, and so on this one here, Tilly goes to live with her grandparents after her mother disappears, or her parents disappear, and her grandparents own this bookshop, and then she goes into these books and she can explore into each one of these fairy tales, and she starts to discover secrets to kind of solve the mystery of where her parents are. So excited. I know about this for the girls, but I definitely want to read this as well. This other one is Lost in Fairy Tales. So on this book, Tilly goes and explores these fairy tales because all the characters seem to have been mixed up and they're lost, and she kind of has to figure out what is happening. So again, it sounds really cool, and yeah, I can wait to see what other books are on this series as well. Another middle grade book that I picked up, it is The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane, and this is one that I am going to be reading this month. So on this book, we're following Emmy, and after her father disappears, her mom sends her to this boarding school, but before she goes, she kind of finds on her attic like all these artifacts and symbols that used to belong to her father. So then when she goes to the school, she discovers that there's a secret society, and on their books there's also the same symbols that she saw on her attic before, and then she wants to find out what is happening and if the school secret society has something to do with the mystery where her father is. So sounds super cool. So another middle grade that I picked up is The Strangers by Margaret Peterson, and just love the cover. This gives me a lot of Halloween vibes. So on this book, we're following these three siblings, and they live with their mom, and everything seems to be really happy, but then they find reports that 3 other kids are missing, and the other kids have their same birthday, their same names, and so they're trying to find out who they are and what connection they have with these other 3 kids. And so I'm so excited about this book. I can't wait to find out what it's all about. Another book that I picked up that has that mystery magic is The Lost in the Neverwoods. This is by Aiden Thomas. And so this is a retelling of Peter Pan. And so on this book, Wendy has no recollection of what has happened in the past and how her brothers have disappeared. But when other children start disappearing in her town, they kind of start looking at her to see if she can remember anything. So then she's kind of forced to go back into the woods and find out what is happening and why are all these children disappearing. So another magical book here on the woods is Small Favors, and this is by Erin Craig, and this is one that I actually just finished reading and I absolutely loved it. So on this book we are following Ellery, and she lives in this really small town, and on this town things are happening. This town is right next to the woods, and the men have to cross the woods to get supplies for the whole town. So on their last trip, these men disappear, and so they discover that there are creatures in the woods, and so the whole town is basically afraid of what is happening. So these creatures in the woods are listening to them, and whatever things that excuse me also on these woods, there are these creatures that are listening to you, and they're basically making your wishes come true, like what you need you kind of get, but then there is a price to pay for that. So Ellery discovers what is happening, and she's trying to save her family, save the town. I already read this book, like I said, and I just absolutely enjoyed it. And yeah, I love the cover too. So beautiful. So the next book that I have here is The Witch's Heart. This is a beautiful cover. This is by Genevieve Gorniche. And so on this book we are following this lady. She is a mother, and her children are born with like uncertain destiny. So it's a story of fate, survival, sacrifice. And so I just can't wait to read this one and see what it's all about. The book that I have here is Outrageous, and this is by Minerva Spencer, and this is actually book 2 of the Rebels of the Dawn series. So I can't wait to get started with this book. I'm still waiting for my book 1, which is Notorious, and book 3 is actually coming at the end of September. So I definitely want to read this one soon, and I just can't wait. I heard a lot of good reviews about these books, and yeah, I'm super excited for that. The next book that I have is The Jane Austen Society, and this is a novel by Natalie Jenner. So on this book, we're following this group of friends that want to preserve the Jane Austen legacy after World War II. So they all get together, and even though they all kind of go through their different struggles, find this amazing connection and passion for the work of Jane Austen. Another book that I recently picked up is The Beautiful World, Where Are You? And this is by Sally Rooney. I don't know much about this book, but I know Sally Rooney is amazing, and I just can't wait to see what this book is all about. I think it's a contemporary romance, but excited to discover more about this book. So another romance that I recently picked up is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is another book that I have heard so many reviews about it, and I think it's going to be a super fun read. So on this book, we are following Olive, and she is the unlucky twin of I don't remember the name of her sister, but her sister is getting married, and everybody on the wedding basically gets food poisoning, and except for her and this guy Ethan. And then they both go to the honeymoon together because they don't want to lose the tickets, and they're just up for the free trip. But they happen to be not exactly the best of friends. I guess they didn't like each other, and they're just kind of forced to pretend that they are newlyweds to enjoy all of the vacation. And then I believe a romance comes from there. So I'm excited to read these. I think it's going to be super fun and refreshing. The next one is Beach Read. I mean, I know we have heard so much about this book, and I definitely wanted to give it a read. On this book, we are following these two writers, and they're both kind of going through family drama, and they decide to kind of take a break and go into this lake house. And then when they go there, they happen to be neighbors, and so somehow they meet on this like reading group, and they kind of don't like each other, and they challenge each other to write each other's like genre, so they switch the theme of their books, and so that leads for them to kind of start having conversations, and then something comes from there as well, like a little romance, of course. But what I really like about this book was mainly the backstory behind it. You kind of learn about her family, and you learn about his struggles as well. Another one that I recently picked up is the Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is by Casey McInstone, and so on this book we are following the Prince of England and the son of the United States president, and so they're kind of forced to get along. They don't like each other, but they have to pretend they do for, you know, for the media. And so they're put into these different events, and somehow they start liking each other, and a romance forms from there. And the next book that I have is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Darla. I don't know much about this book. I know they are both actors. I've heard so many good reviews about this book, and I just can't wait to give it a go. I think it's gonna be a super fun romance. Another romance that I picked up is While We Were Dating by Jasmine Guillory. I think that's how you say it. So on this book we are following Ben and Anna, and I believe Anna wants to be this really famous star, and so I think this is more like a romantic comedy, and so it's gonna be a good time, and I can't wait. Next book that I have is The Sharks in the Times of Saviors, and this is by Kawai Strong Washburn. And so on this book we're following this family in Hawaii. So this book talks a lot about family and courage, and then I believe one of the kids falls into the water, and she is saved by the shark. The shark comes and delivers the kid to her mom, and so I think it's gonna be a really interesting read, and it also has a lot of amazing reviews, and I just can't wait to find out a little bit more about the family struggling, the family legacy, and all of that. And then another book that I have here is Liberations by Imogen Keeley, and so this is a story of survival of World War II, and it talks about the real life of Nancy Wake, and so she was a hero, a soldier, and just really enjoy books about World War II and learning a little bit more about history throughout different novels like this. So the next book that I have here is Group, and this one says How One Therapist and a Circle of Strangers Saved My Life, and this is by Christy Tate. This is a Reese's book club pick, so that's what made me pick that up. And so I think this is a story that's going to be very touching, very fulfilling. We're following this girl who kind of had eating disorders, and then she goes into this group therapy. So this book is supposed to break you down and then build you back up. So I can't wait. So the next book that I have here, it is Hocus Pocus and the all new sequel. So I think this is going to be a super fun read for Halloween. So on this book we are following again the Sanderson sisters, and so basically they come back to life 25 years later, and I believe Max and Allison, which were the two main characters on the first sequel, have a kid. So she is a teenager at this point, and she is the one that they are going after. So I can't wait to see what this is all about. And speaking about witches, the next book that I have is The Year of the Witching, and this is by Alexis Henderson. So this is all about potions and magic and secrets, and I think this is going to be a super fun read again for the fall and for Halloween. Ow. Speaking about witches, the next book that I have is Spells Travel, and I just realized there's a cute little kitty on the cover. So on this book, we're following these two twin sisters, and they're both witches, and so they're kind of learning how to use their magic, and they are supposed to be the gatekeepers of the underworld and protect all of those ancient portals. But then their mom disappears. Does she get murdered or she disappears? Let's see. Oh yeah, but then their mom gets murdered, and so they want to find out what is happening, but they don't know if they are ready yet to use their powers, and they have to fight these other creatures as well. So it seems to be a super fun fall read, and another one that I can't wait for. So the next book that I have here is The Wildwood Whispers, and this is by Willa Reese, and I honestly picked this book because the cover was just so beautiful. So I don't know what this book is about, but it says here on the back, the wildwood is whispering, it has secrets to reveal if you are willing to listen. So it just sounds so magical, and I think this is gonna be perfect for fall as well. So the next book that I have is another one about witches. So this is the Manning Three Witches by A.K. Blackmore. And so this book talks about the witches' trials of England, and it's supposed to be a really dark novel. So I am super excited for this one as well. Book that I have is The Ghost 3 by Christina Henry. So this is supposed to be a dark magic horror book. So on this book, we're following Lauren, and after two girls are found on the woods killed, she's trying to find out what has happened because her father also was found killed a year ago, and I think the police did nothing about it. So she's taking it up to her own hands to find out who the killer is and what mysteries are happening in the woods. So then I have some thrillers or mystery books. So this is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell. So this is her latest novel, and on this novel we are following this mom who lost her kids. So it has a lot of similarities to the book Then She Was Gone, and I really enjoyed that book by Lisa Jewell as well. So I can't wait to see what this one is all about. The next book that I have here is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Finney, and I haven't read any books from Alice Finney yet, but I know she has amazing reviews, and I just can't wait to explore more of her books as well. And so on this book, we're following this couple who has been married for 10 years, and apparently they don't know each other yet. So we'll see what this is all about. It says here 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. So excited for that. Ow! Why you do that? So the next book that I have is If We Were Villains by Emma Rio. So this is a dark academia book, and it talks about this group of students that reenact Shakespeare plays, and then one day there's a murder that happens, and one of them goes to jail, and then after 10 years I think he is released, and he's finally ready to say what happened. So one that I am definitely going to read really soon. The next book that I have is For Your Own Good, and this is by Samantha Downing. And so on this book we are following this professor who is trying to teach his students to be their best, but the teaching comes to a price because I believe he is murdering the students. So it says, it's really too bad that sometimes excellence can come at such a high cost. So can't wait to read this one and see what it's all about. The next book that I have here is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and this is by Ashley Winstead. And so I've heard so many reviews about this book, and I just can't wait. I actually just started this book, and I'm really liking it so far. On this book we are following this group of friends, and they go back to their high school reunion 10 years after graduation. And so when they were going to school, one of the friends was murdered. So when they're coming back, they're kind of talking about it. Some of them are not ready to let go and still want to find out what happened. Next book that I have is Velvet Was the Night, and this is by Silvia Moreno Garcia. As you know, she is the writer of Mexican Gothic. So on this book we're following a murder on Mexico City on the 70s, I believe, and I think that's all I know about this book, but I absolutely love Mexican Gothic, and I just can't wait to read more about Silvia Moreno Garcia's work. And this one looks so interesting and super cool. So the next book that I have is We Were Never Here. This is by Andrea Bartz. And so this is a psychological thriller following this group of friends that go camping in Chile. I mean, say no more. What else you need to know? So these friends are also traveled together before, and there has also been a murder. So then one of them is trying to discover what is actually happening and if one of the friends is a murderer. So it seems really interesting. I love the cover. It's so colorful and so sinister. The next one that I have is The Noise by James Patterson, and this one says the last sound you'll ever hear, and that just sounds so creepy. I've never read James Patterson before, and I can't wait. And here on the back I read this and I definitely wanted to give this a go. And speaking about The Noise, now we move to Such a Quiet Place, and this is by Megan Miranda. So this is another thriller and about this neighborhood that is supposed to be very quiet and very private, but there is a series of murderings happening in there. So I can't wait to find out what is going on. So the next book that I have is Too Good to Be True by Carola Lovering. So on this book we're following Sky. She's about to get married and she starts to discover all these secrets, and it says one love story, two marriages, three versions of the truth, and I just can't wait. The next book that I have is Not a Happy Family by Shari LaPena. So on this book, we're following these siblings that go visit their rich parents, and supposedly they don't get along with their parents and they go for a family reunion. They all end up arguing, and the next day the parents are dead. So now the police is trying to find out who killed the parents and if one of them had something to do with that, and another thriller that I just can't wait to read. The next book that I have is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. And so this is a book that I believe is on Netflix, and I can't wait to read it before I watch the movie or the series, whatever it is. So on this book, we're following this girl who is unable to leave her apartment in New York, but she starts to spy onto her neighbors, but she kind of drinks a little bit too much. So after she sees a series of things that are disturbing, she doesn't know what's real and what is part of her imagination. So I just can't wait to find out, and I actually want to find out why she can't leave her apartment. That's another thing that intrigues me. The next one that I have is The Woman on Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. On this book, we're following Lo, and she is a journalist, and so they are on this very fancy, elegant ship, and then she sees that a woman gets thrown overboard, and when she reports this, they say that no one's missing, everybody on the ship is accounted for. So she's trying to find out the mystery behind what she saw, and it seems very intriguing and very interesting, so can't wait to read this one. The next two books that I have are by Stephen King. We have Dr. Sleep and then his new release, Billy Summers. So I have been loving all of Stephen King's novels, and I can't wait to discover a little bit more. So on this one, I actually started reading this when I was at the bookstore, and it really pulled me in. Oh my goodness, it starts really strong, and I just can't wait to read more about it. So then on Billy Summers, we are following Billy, and he is a, what do you call it, like a hire for murder. He's like a sniper, and so he really wants out of this life, and he has one final mission to do before he gets out, and this is a story of redemption. And it says Billy Summers is about love, luck, fate, and a complex hero with one last shot at redemption. So it seems really interesting. So the last book that I have is Animal, and this is by Lisa Taddeo. So this book talks about Joanne, and she has always been mistreated by men, and she finally gains the power to strike back. And so on this book, it says Taddeo illustrates one woman's exhilarating transformation from prey into predator. So I can't wait for this one as well. So there you go. Those are all the books that I have. I hope that you guys enjoy this super long book haul. I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope that I was able to show you something that you might want to read soon. And if you have any recommendations for me to read, please let me know on the comment section. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.